later, April 4th, 1917, the Finland station in Petrograd, Russia. After years in exile, leaving one country after another, Vladimir Lenin returns to his homeland following the news of revolution, displacing the former royal, forever greedy Romanovs, who imprisoned and squeezed the proletariat under their weighty, custom-made boots. However, following the installation of the ill-starred provisional government, Lenin returns to a Russia that has not seized its revolutionary potential, but rather is falling stagnant and complicit in further damaging Russia. Apartment shortages, food shortages, and a general air of discontent are rife, while the Bolsheviks and their desires remain second fiddle to the ones of the provisional government. Vladimir returns to Petrograd, a city torn by the previous revolution, struggling to find its place and persona without the dynasty and under a new form of government altogether. Lenin has the following to say of the state of affairs and crimes he feels have been committed since the people were freed from the yokes of the Romanovs and bestowed the provisional government.
The masses must be made to see that the Soviets of workers' deputies are the only possible form of revolutionary government, and that therefore our task is, as long as this government yields to the influence of the bourgeoisie, to present a patient, sympathetic, and persistent explanation of the errors of their tactics, an explanation especially adapted to the practical needs of the masses. The capitalists that have seized power, what should be a revolutionary Russia, must be broken with. They are those worst enemies of peace and socialism, and seek only to take power, land, and bread out of the hands of the masses and put it into the hands of the elite. This provisional government must elicit no support from the masses. Do not be fooled. It does not have your interests at heart, but only those of the capitalists, and therefore the imperialists. The utter falsity of all its promises should be made clear, particularly of those relating to the renunciation of annexations. Exposure in place of impermissible, illusion-bearing demand that this government, a government of capitalists, should cease to be an imperialist government. The masses must be made to see that the Soviets of workers' deputies are the only possible form of revolutionary government, not a parliamentary republic, but a republic of Soviet of workers. In such a form of government, there shall be the confiscation of all landed estates, nationalization of all lands in the country.
And thus Lenin laid the framework for the true Russian Revolution, that which changed the world's view of socialism and ushered in a reign of purely Bolshevik power. Such sentiments exhibited in Lenin's April thesis radicalized the party, dividing the Bolsheviks and other socialists both in and out of the provisional government.
The 23rd of February was International Women's Day. It had not occurred to anyone that it might become the first day of the revolution. Not a single organisation called for strikes on that day. About 90,000 workers, men and women, were on strike that day. The fighting mood expressed itself in demonstrations, meetings, even encounters with the police. The movement began in the Vyborg district with its large industrial establishments. Thence it crossed over to the St. Petersburg side. The revolution caught them unaware only with regard to the exact moment. Bureaucratic, bourgeois, liberal St. Petersburg was in a fright.
For many, it is hard to separate the power of men like Stalin and the image of the impenetrable Iron Curtain with the, shall we say, humble beginnings of the Bolshevik Party. However, do not confuse the later reign of the Bolsheviks with their oppression at the hands of the provisional government and the vitriolic press. Purges and mass imprisonment of the Bolsheviks were the reality of Petrograd in 1917 for the Bolsheviks' following days. The press and the Kremlinsky government continuously slandered the Bolsheviks, accusing Lenin, Kollontai, and others of being German spies who received bribes.
Lenin, Ganetsky, German spies, this is what they say about us. Our friends are being led to jail for crimes they did not commit. This is my 5th hiding place in 3 days. Zinoviev, we must leave.
Yes.
Socialist revolutionaries and the Bolsheviks have found themselves completely completely by their entire policy. They are completely bound. They are the bottom of the cesspool. The only thing left now, Zenobia, is to die properly.
In principle, I share the views of Lenin, Kamenev, and Zinoviev. There's no logical reason for ordering that Lenin, Zinoviev, and Menev be arrested and not me.
Welcome. Sit down with us. You're talking about Love's arrest.
I unknowingly had myself captured. I wrote a statement affirming my principles, unwilling to hide behind these events. I called Kerensky on business, and that deceptive man asked me where I might be so he could reach me in the future. What happened to you?
Well, I was in a public bath when I was arrested. Even bath time Good. I was in a public bath when I was arrested. Even bath time is without respect under the provisional government. Some foolish soldiers said that the Petrograd garrison was taking money from the Germans. I just asked if they had any evidence, and now here I am.
These papers, these politicians and bourgeoisie, all they do is lie. They continue their own power, stepping on the necks and hearts of the workers. If only the workers could open their eyes and see what's in front of them.
We cannot enact a Bolshevik revolution without the support of the workers.
History has shown us that things did indeed work out differently. As summer wore on, the success of the provisional government gained with the smear campaign that the Bolsheviks waned greatly. With the embarrassing Kornilov coup, any legitimacy of Kerensky's government died. While Kerensky chased after Kornilov, the Bolsheviks began to amass their power. The Petrograd Soviet overwhelmingly votes to support the Bolshevik party, thus gaining Bolshevik support in Petrograd, Ivano-Vazhnevsk, Kronstadt, and Krasnoyarsk. And the Bolsheviks imprison or released due to massive public pressure. However, the Bolsheviks still remain tied to the provisional government that commissions a new pre-parliament in hopes of securing democratic legitimacy. The Bolsheviks now discuss their support for this ill-fated pre-parliament.
From our comrade Lenin, we must admit that there is a tendency among the leaders of our party which favours waiting and is opposed to taking power immediately. That tendency must be overcome, or the Bolsheviks will cover themselves with eternal shame and destroy themselves as a party. It is my profound conviction that if we wait and let the moment pass, we will ruin the revolution. The Bolsheviks have no right to wait for the Congress of Soviets and must take power at once. Thus we save the world revolution, the Russian Revolution, and save the lives of hundreds of people at the front.
The troops in Finland support this party. Political power rests firmly in the hands of the Bolsheviks Regional Committee.
We must wait and postpone such radical action. There is nothing but tiredness on the front, nothing but hope for an end to fighting. We have our power in Petrograd and Finland, yet we do not forget, comrades, that these are the two places in all of Russia. We do not have the strength to seize power. The force that can be amassed from the rest of the country will overtake us. We must wait for more revolutions in the West for support.
I condemn such a lack of heart and refusal to recognize our existing support with the everyday man. Once more, all that will come once we seize power in his name. This so-called pre-parliament will convene in 2 days. We must revoke our support and show the provisional government where the hearts of the people lie, with the Bolsheviks. We must vote now to walk out from this parliament sham, or to silence ourselves to the injustice of our bourgeois rulers.
It is now October 10th, and all of Lenin's aspirations and pushes for a Bolshevik seizure of power are soon to be fulfilled.
Comrades of the Central Committee, the time for our revolution is now. The place for us as the vanguard of the proletariat is now. We need to make progress before the Constituent Assembly may be formed and falsely claim to represent the Russian people and ignore the evident political significance of the workers and the soldiers' Soviets. If we miss our opportunity now, we will forever we will be forever looked down upon in not grasping the perfect moment to initiate a worldwide workers' revolution. The indifference of the masses may be explained by the fact that they are tired of words and resolutions. The majority is with us now. The agrarian disorders point to the same thing. It is clear that heroic measures will be necessary to stop this movement, if it can be stopped at all. The political situation therefore makes our plan timely. We must now begin thinking of the technical side of the undertaking. That is the main thing now.
Comrade Lenin speaks the truth. I urge you all to see the wisdom in his words and yield to his notion. We must act now. We must not let any of these bourgeoisie constructs hinder us from enabling the proletarian revolution. We are the vanguard of the proletariat. Thus, we must aid them in this endeavor.
But Lenin, are we sure that it is wise to launch an armed revolt at this time? After the experience of the Cornell affair, do you really believe we will have more success than the ill-fated Paris Commune?
I, Kamenev, second Zinoviev's hesitancy. If we act too early, we will undermine all the political force which we are currently reaching. Just a little bit more time would ensure that we are strong in numbers, and as Zinoviev has previously raised concerns over, that we do not end up seeming like propagandists, and instead we are actually able to support the masses.
Let you not vote against this revolution, or else be left in the dustbin of history, my comrades.
Let us then vote. All those in favor of starting the Bolshevik Revolution, raise your hand now. All those opposed, raise your hand.
And so thusly, tonight, we have agreed that an uprising is inevitable. We now have the majority behind us. Politically, the time for it is fully ripe.
I inform you, all you members of the provisional government, that you are arrested.
Prime Minister Krinsky, put down the paper. Don't take anything, don't touch anything. This is property of the people.
What are you doing? What's going on?
Congress decrees all power in the localities shall pass to the Soviets of workers, soldiers, peasants, deputies, which must guarantee revolutionary order. Long live the revolution.